Steve Dongworth, who is the boss of firefighters in Calgary, continues to sort of vilify and marginalize, and ultimately has seen you and a number of your colleagues either terminated or forced to resign under duress. How does it feel to have one of your own sort of coming after you?
Well, obviously it's disappointing. I would never feel like Donsworth was one of our own. He's never been a lieutenant or captain with the City of Calgary Fire Department. Quite frankly, we all know that he couldn't manage a fire scene to save his own life, let alone yours or mine. The reason is, why are people like Donsworth placed in these positions of power? It's not because of their skill or ability. It's because they'll say yes to the politicians and special interest groups behind them.
I just think the pressure from the top down, from our political pressure being pushed down onto our municipalities and each of our business departments in the city, I'm not sure where the pressure is coming from, but it's further up the food chain than any of us realize.
Chief Dongworth basically just vilified us. And even went on to say, like, one of his comments was we were standing for some weird conception of freedom. I mean, if standing for your basic rights in this country is a weird conception of freedom, I don't know.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News. Firefighters are often considered among the bravest members of society. They put their own bodies and lives on the line by rushing into dangerous scenarios, whether that be a car crash or a burning building, in order to save others. Sadly, some firefighters who were unwilling to be vaccinated or unable to be vaccinated lost their jobs or were forced to resign under duress, simply for asking questions, simply for standing up, and simply for insisting on their bodily autonomy and their charter rights. But firefighters, never afraid to back down from a fight, are taking a stand, a legal stand in court, and fighting back. I'm going to be joined by a few of those firefighters right now.
I'm Steve Dubois, former captain of the Calgary Fire Department. Served for 20 years, and after the vaccine policy rollout, I was forced to resign under duress, constructive dismissal in December of 2021.
Hi, I'm Chris Andrew. I was a firefighter with the City of Calgary for 17 years. I resigned under duress due to the vaccine mandate.
Driver, 5 years of service, Mike Andrusko, resigned under duress due to the vaccine mandate.
So I guess first off, the position of firefighter is very often one that's sort of revered. You go through experiences that most of us will never have to see, incredible hardships, and you sort of bear it bravely. Can you just tell us about sort of what it meant to you to be a firefighter and to be willing to take on those challenges?
Yeah, it was a unique experience for sure, Adam. I guess showing up to somebody else's emergency and knowing you didn't make the difference is kind of the reason why most of us got involved, working together as a team, looking out for each other so we can better look out for the public. It was kind of the foundation and principles of our job. And with what's recently happening, the division that's happened on our jobs, I don't see how we're going to ever recover moving forward as a fire service in this city and any other city who's taking that stance.
I started my firefighter career as a volunteer in 2000, so I've been doing this for a lot of years. Seen a lot of people's emergencies, some people at their worst, some people at their best. So I've always wanted to be a people helper. I've always wanted to help people. So naturally, firefighter and EMT, that just fell into my wheelhouse. But over the last few years, I've noticed, especially with the Calgary department, it's turning more into a corporate business unit. And it's not about serving the needs of the citizens. Sure, the guys, like my brothers, we're there, rain or snow, we're there for the people. But sometimes it just feels like the agenda is getting pushed from administration to be more of a business unit. And I don't like the way the direction was going.
We heard it in the media. They're villains, they're extremists. We even heard Fire Chief Dongworth saying, oh, well, these people are on the fringe and they don't represent us. Just talk about that experience a little bit.
Yeah, I think it kind of started, I noticed it started when back, would have been about a year ago now, I think it was last year in August, when we did that initial 1 hour silence in the protest of the mandates there in front of City Hall. Yeah. Up until then, I don't know if anybody really knew how everybody was, like, what everybody's stance was on stuff. And then when we kind of went out there and made that public, I think, first of all, I think it let a lot of people know that, hey, we're not alone. There's other people out there that stand with us. And then, but then it also, that's when you noticed things started to turn with the media and management and stuff. And it just, yeah, I mean, that's when I first started noticing it, and it seemed to turn pretty quick. It didn't take long to start to vilify anybody that stood up against the mandates. So it happened fast.
Well, obviously it's disappointing. I would never feel like Donsworth was one of our own. He's never been a lieutenant or captain with the City of Calgary Fire Department. Quite frankly, we all know that he couldn't manage a fire scene to save his own life, let alone yours or mine. The reason is, why are people like Donsworth placed in these positions of power? It's not because of their skill or ability. It's because they'll say yes to the politicians and special interest groups behind them.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of this is going along all across emergency management in North America.
Yeah.
Not to mention other departments, municipal departments, how that affects our safety as taxpayers and our budget.
Now, can you, as a team, being put in these critical sort of life and death scenarios where you have to trust your brother right beside you or your sister, know that they're going to have your back, that they aren't necessarily worried about corporate interests first, they're worried about saving lives, does that undermine your capacity to do your job?
No, because the brothers and sisters of our job are phenomenal. We have the best firefighters, I believe, anywhere in the world. You know, the integrity, the hard working, never in a thought going to a call did I ever think, is my crew competent enough? So when I was getting into leadership in the acting captain position, I was more of the manager per se. And I had to look at strategies and tactics for any call that we went to. So then I looked at this pandemic in the same way. I had to take an overall view of it and say, is this the right time? Is this the right product? And I came to the decision that no, I don't believe that right now this is safe.
Yeah, that was hard, and obviously we knew something else was afoot, being put in that situation. Leadership telling us that this wasn't going to happen, and then changing their tune so quickly to the situation where we were put into hard decision making of what we were going to do moving forward. I saw my job as looking out for my firefighters and so that we could best work together to take care of the public, to then the priority becoming pushing the messaging and the fear-mongering of this propaganda behind the COVID-19 with these promises that this vaccination was going to take care of. We were going to vaccinate our way out of this problem, which we know now with the Pfizer reports coming out that these things were never safe and effective, but were always dangerous and harmful, as well as immoral if you look into the testing to what's in the vaccines. And for me, I dove in deeply into the research and being in my circles, and I'm obviously a person of faith and knew that things were wrong, so I started looking for answers. And what struck me was that all of the experts were being canceled in science, in medicine, from Peter McCullough, Ryan Cole. They were having the pressures put on them. I don't know if, at any rate, it caused me to look deeply into what was going on in my own circle.
There's been no lack of that over the course of the vaccine mandates. Now, let's contrast maybe the public response or your conversation with some of your brother and sister firefighters with what the media and what the fire chief has been saying. What has their response been like by contrast?
On a whole, now that the world's starting to cool down a little bit, calmer heads are starting to prevail. They're realizing the overreach and kind of the stepping stones of some of the tyrannical decisions. So on a whole, most of the people I've talked to are all for it. And almost 100% of the people say they agree that, yes, you should have a choice. Sure, there's going to be the people that say, no, you're in emergency services, you need to be shot up. But my question is, if we're showing up in blue Tyveks, taped at our wrists and our ankles, goggles, the hood up, and an N95 respirator, how could we, as Chief Dongworth says, we could be bringing disease or illness to the public? I find that hard to believe.
I think mostly just we wanted just to get the word out there that people are standing up against this still. I mean, it's still a fight. It's not over. I know some things have eased, but I think we still need to keep focused, keep pushing, keep fighting, because I mean, as you know, there's so many things the federal government is still trying to push. I mean, with the farmer stuff going on right now, and they're going after other things, we just gotta stay together and stay focused and keep fighting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, firefighters not afraid to run into a burning building, certainly not likely to run away from this fight. Tell us about the legal action you guys have coming up to stand up for yourselves.
Yeah, we've hired Leighton Gray of Gray Wolk and Spencer. He's served the city of Calgary this last Friday. I believe they accepted the service on Monday. Going back, he's basically seeking damages against the violation of our human rights. And I think the reason why it was important for us to do this, to come together as a group of firefighters, was to inspire other groups to do the same thing. If the courts don't uphold the law, if they allow the employers to have criminal action against their employees, where does that leave us as a society if the courts don't come through for us, if they don't uphold the law? It seems like a very scary future. It's not a future I want to be part of in this country. I believe we all have to do our part and fight on every level. So we're hoping to inspire other groups, other people, everyone out there to do everything they can to fight against this tyranny. If we don't do it now, I believe this is the fight of our generation. There might not be a future here for our kids.
And for people out there who have supported firefighters, who are standing with you as you stand up for yourselves, do you have any message for them?
Oh, we just want to give them a huge thank you. I mean, without their support and stuff, I mean, you almost, I mean, I know there's 20 of us, but it's hard not to feel alone sometimes. But when you know there's everybody out there supporting you, it makes a huge difference.
Finally, folks want to learn more about your efforts standing up for yourselves. Where can they do that?
Right now we have a web page set up. It's firefightersfortruth.com, and 4 is the number. And you can look for there for different donations or some of the events and things that we have going on right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate all of you joining me for this important update on your legal actions and efforts. Sorry you guys are going through this. I'm sure you didn't ask for this when you signed up, but I'm happy to see you're standing up for yourselves. And as always, I want to thank everyone at home for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. While these firefighters wage their own legal battle, others across this country are taking a stand against unethical and un-Canadian vaccine mandates. The Democracy Fund is waging a series of charter challenges against vaccine mandates. You can contribute to those precedent-setting legal efforts by visiting fightvaccinepassports.com. All of those donations are tax receipt eligible and go a long way to helping the fight for freedom in Canada.